Welcome, everybody, to another interview of the series of Leaders of Purpose, where together we'll set off on a magical journey to get to meet some of the most inspiring women leaders who have dedicated their careers, their lives to driving positive change in the world. And hopefully we can learn from the wisdom that they've gained from their journeys and empower each and every one of us to drive meaningful change in our own unique ways. So today I'm super excited because I have the pleasure to have an inspiring woman called Vikki Farrell, who is also a dear friend of mine that always her stories captivate me. Vikki, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you very much, Marilena. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on this amazing venture. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited too. So before we kick it off, I actually think maybe I'll give a little overview of what you've been doing for the past few years, and then we'll kick it off. So
amazing.
Vikki is a passionate educator with over 20 years of experience working in different roles, all fundamentally linked to working with children and young people. And 4 years ago, Vikki joined forces with her husband to actually establish a nonprofit volunteer organization called Seeds of Hope, ODV, registered in Italy. And they basically implement educational Vanderful workshops for young people in marginalized communities, specifically in Southern Africa. And Vikki is the managing director there, and her initial focus was an expressive arts program where she delivered a framework that runs for 6 weeks. And finally, Vikki is fascinated with nature-based outdoors, creative and environmental education. And she envisions to create and develop a curriculum that she hopes to implement in the future that incorporates all those elements. So Vikki, to kick off, whenever I meet a leader of change, someone that's an impact, my biggest question is, what inspires you to do what you do, and especially in your space where you're creating safe spaces for young people across the world? What was that moment that ignited your purpose?
Oh, well, amazing question. Thank you very much for that introduction as well. That was very lovely. Thank you. Synthesized everything. I do have a problem with not cutting things short, so I'll try and be more condensed with my answers. But what initially inspired me to do what I do now was actually when I was working as a teacher in Namibia. I worked in a national school, but I would say that it was a Namibian school with some international students, because it was, I would say, 80 to 85% Namibian children. And of course, that's a kind of certain part of the community. It's obviously people that could afford to send their children to this school, but at the same time, a lot of children were sponsored to go there. So we did a lot of volunteer opportunities also within different parts of that community. Just off our own back, just because we're really, really passionate about opening up opportunities to those who don't have access. And basically, we just had some amazing experiences with particular individuals that just transformed in front of our eyes when we were doing creative subjects with them. So as you mentioned before, I'm really passionate about expression and expressive arts and confidence building and team building. And I like to do that through performing arts. My degree actually initially was in theatre and visual arts. So I'm really passionate about that. But my husband is also really, really passionate about sustainability and craftsmanship. So learning to do things with your hands. So everything's really creatively linked. And unfortunately, these places, they don't have, these places, I mean, as in these kind of schools, or the education system at large doesn't really have the capacity, or maybe even just, the funds to be able to give these opportunities to young people to have more creative subjects, have more physical education. So basically, I was inspired by those moments of change that I saw with my very eyes, just through, playing a game or having fun with each other or doing a team building exercise. Like, there's so many individual stories, but that's fundamentally what inspired us to start our organization, to open up educational opportunities, but also, like you said, in a safe environment, as in safe, yes, security, but safe more that they feel comfortable enough to say how they really feel. Because also in other experiences in other parts of the world that I've taught in, I've witnessed so many children that robotically just answer, yes, I'm fine, and that they're not exactly saying how they feel, but maybe they also don't know how they feel because they never really had it pulled out of them, you know. And it's not to say that I'm like demanding they say how they feel. It's more like, you know, play a game and have a strategy to make it come naturally from themselves, you know, like through role play or through I don't know, just improvisation, or, you know, just being silly and pretending to be an animal, you know, like to just be comfortable enough that you can just express your feelings. So I hope that answers the question.
Oh, amazing. You inspired me.
No, thank you.
Amazing. I mean, you touched upon these things, but maybe elaborating a little bit of like, with the work that you do with the foundation and generally every initiative that you're running, what is the importance of it? Because it sounds like there's a broader and underlining social issue that you're tackling, and how are you solving that? What are those issues that you think through the work that you do you're impacting?
Well, okay. So, I mean, again, trying to synthesize, I think the access to opportunity, to creative opportunities, I think is the broadest umbrella of the problem, the issue that we're trying to address, is that, you know, access to subjects that perhaps are, you know, not accessed by everybody. You know, it's not this. Is it, what's the word? Is it dysphoria, or when things are not balanced? You know, like when, you know, in a Western world as such, in like my country, in the UK, you know, like there's a lot of emphasis on creativity helps with the academics, you know, those kind of things. So through my experience from around the world, it was, in a broader sense, is the educational access. That's the broadest topic, I think. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely.
So broader sense, but then there's other layers to that because of some of the experiences that we've had in our workshops, that you know, like the gender disparity too, you know, like how the quality to you know, the access that girls have in comparison to boys, you know, like a lot of the things that I've worked on, or at least the communities I've been within, there is an imbalance of that. So that's also an issue that we would like to tackle. And then another one, which, I mean, with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, are kind of one of our biggest focuses also is climate action, because I do fundamentally believe that how can you ask the younger generations or younger people to save a world or an earth, the earth, and with all these problems that have been kind of caused by, you know, industries and generations before them, if they don't have touch with the natural world, if they don't love the earth, how can we expect them to save it, you know? So I do really believe that if you open opportunities, you provide access to sustainable practices, to understanding about the impact on the environment. We do some certain activities within my workshops that, you know, we go and do a community mapping. We go into the local area, you know, the homes of the community, and we say, okay, what's your favorite area? What do you like? What do people like in this area? Okay, so now we've thought about that one. What about the animals? What do the animals like? Where do the animals like here? Where do they go? You know, be trees or beach or whatever it is. And then also like, oh, where's the best place for the environment here? You know, like the environment being, again, also not just the kind of nature as we know it, trees and stuff, but more so also, you know, like on the streets, you know, with the cars and stuff. Is that a great place for, you know, for the environment? And as we start to gather their ideas, we then, after this kind of activity, we go back in little groups, and then we think, okay, like, what could we do to improve these areas? What, if you could do anything, what would you do to make the area that you love the most better? Okay, what about the animals? What about the environment? And then create a performance, a little play, you know, to show their parents, to their carers, to their friends, to the school at large or the community. And it's facilitating their ideas that they've come up, self-guided, self-initiated, and then putting across to people. Like I'm so totally like, not addicted, that's not the right word, but I'm so committed to knowing that the children, young people, they are the change makers of now. Like they're not tomorrow, they're not the future, they're right now, and we can learn so much from them. Anyway, maybe that's a tangent, but
no, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Education access, climate action, gender equality in terms of access, yeah, the list could go on, but yeah, sustainability as well.
I think it's beautiful because there's two things. One is also, you were mentioning before, the emotional security that you're helping them build. And if you want to do well for the world, if you don't feeling emotional secure, how are you going to even consider the world around you? So it is a stepping stone. And then the other thing, with transformational change is, I love the idea that you're not going there dictating to them, this is what you need to do in order to save the world, but allowing the answers to come from within them, that align with their values and what's important to them, and start to shape that world. So yeah, they feel like the change is actually part of them. So it's beautiful what you do.
Oh,
Amazing.
thank you very much.
Well,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
well, it's
Thank
exciting.
you.
It's exciting, and it's beautiful. I'm sure it's beautiful to see that transformation in front of you. Actually, that takes me to my next question, which is, do you have a specific story that where the work that you do has impacted someone, and how did that impact you, seeing that transformation take place in front of you?
Okay, this is going to be hard for me to choose just one. I don't know whether maybe perhaps I should save one of my answers for maybe another question, because it covers other elements. But maybe I can just start from the beginning, like when I was in Namibia. So yeah, okay, I have quite a few in mind, so I'm just trying to think of one particular. So there was a young girl in my theatre group who, she was always labeled as aggressive, angry, a bully, you know, and always she was like a ticking time bomb. So whenever anyone did anything that particularly aggravated her or triggered her, she would explode. And she could be very, you know, she was about at that time 13. And obviously that's a difficult time for any teenager. So she joined our group, our theatre group, our drama group. And everyone at the beginning really didn't want to go near her. Like, they didn't even want to play with her. They didn't want to hold hands, you know, like whenever, obviously as a teacher, as an educator, you see these dynamics and you obviously try to empower them. But I didn't want to put her in, you know, in the spotlight too much. Yeah. I thought that it would be better that she wasn't kind of in control of everything, so that, you know, that she could understand that, you know, she doesn't need to be in control to have fun, if that makes sense.
Totally.
And through the time that we spent together, she obviously was really enjoying herself. And actually a lot of the teachers that knew her warned me about her. They said, you know, that she you watch her, or she did this, you know, like already also them, as adults, labeling this child. And it came to the time of kind of auditions for positions in our play. And again, trying to be as equal as possible and giving everyone the opportunity if they wanted to, and no pressure. And she had auditioned for one of the main parts, actually the main part, and which I could really already see that she was perfect for it. The dynamics of the character that she was going to play were also, in a way, also, she was a person who was quite ostracized. And I think this character also was quite ostracized and actually just wanted love. And that's how I believed she actually just wanted love too. And yes, we auditioned everyone, but she was perfect for it. And she got the role. And again, the label started coming like, oh, are you sure you can't depend on her? All of these things. And I always, no, I'm so 100% sure that she is perfect for this position. And it was incredible. And over the course of a very short time, she was holding hands with everybody. We did like a bit of a like treat for them, because we did this completely voluntary. It was none of it was paid, but we loved it more than anything too, my husband and I. And we treated them to a what's it called? A sleepover. We had a sleepover in a hall, and obviously I had permission from the parents and everything to watch a movie, and we got popcorn, and we basically did like a slumber party. So it was amazing. And she was like part of this. We had pillow fights, and we were like doing all our games that we love to play. And she at that evening, she was like huddled up with the other girls. You could see her face. She was just literally just so happy that she had been accepted, you know, and people saw this side of her, and she was magnificent in the performance, absolutely, completely a different person. And everyone was coming up to her saying, oh, you were amazing, you're amazing. Like, I think she had also some difficulties at home. I actually know that she did have some difficulties. Even her parents were just like, wow, we never even knew that was possible. Like, she was she literally went from being the most hated to the most loved, and everyone just saw this, I don't know, potential in her, and it just makes me emotional even thinking about it. She was completely changed, and yeah. So I don't know if that's a good one, but that was really at the initiation of what we were doing.
And what changed her behavior? Was it the fact that she stepped into this role and started believing in herself, or?
I think it was a culmination of that, and also being part of something. I think being accepted into this community that we'd created, like the expressive arts community, that, you know, just are characters of people that, you know, like perhaps have had difficulties or are kind of very enveloping types, you know, and to be embraced by this group, by this team. She felt part of something. And I think that, and also learning through the games that we play, you know, like to express yourself, to play these roles, you know, like we do lots of games. I could be here forever saying about it, but we do like different, like hot seating, and we make them pretend to be a certain person, or like we do like a kind of scene that we improvise, and we change the roles and the dynamics of people, you know, like, for example, we do like, again, relative to what that community perhaps understands. So fundamentally, a hospital, everybody kind of understands what a hospital would be like. So we do like a hospital scene, and then you'll have like obviously patients, then you'll have doctors, and then we'll switch it, like, you know, like, okay, I'll make a signal and we'll switch it, and it will be a classroom. And then, you know, like to be thinking and changing those character things and seeing what comes out of that. It's so I think it's a combination of all those things, being part of something, to be in that role, but I think mainly just the acceptance that she'd had finally, you know, that she could be herself. And she just grew. She grew from this very angry person to something that was just like, I don't know, like this huge flower that everyone was flocking to.
Amazing.
So
Amazing. No, that's a perfect story.
Is that okay? I was wondering if that was maybe
that showcases how much restructuring an environment that supports somebody can have such a massive effect, and how much like the labels that we already impose on other people, how it keeps them in that prison, in that victim mode, and how important it is for us to be mindful of how we actually label other people, because it really can have a massive impact on their lives. So
behind closed doors, do we? We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Exactly. We don't know what that person might have experienced that morning or the weekend or whatever it was, you know. So I think that I just would, those kind of experiences, and there was many. I'm not saying it's all down to me, but I think that the experiences of what I witnessed was like, wow, I want to do this more. I want to do this more because I want to see more of these things happen, because there's no greater feeling. And just through games, just from being with others, just connection.
And it's changing that person, the exponential impact that can have on the people that she interacts with, the value and impact she brings into the world will be very different just because of that experience. So I can see how important this is, but I'm sure it doesn't come without its challenges. So that's my next question, because I know the world of impact is beautiful and people are so passionate, but there is so much inertia. And I'm wondering, what was maybe one of the biggest challenges you faced, especially as a woman entrepreneur driving impact, and just sharing how you personally overcame that. Is there a moment that stands out?
Yes, this is actually the one that I didn't say to you just now for this other question. So this one I kind of, was the biggest challenge of my life, I think. And it happened very close to where I'm at actually now. When I was implementing one of our projects in Angola, in Southern Africa, previously I'd implemented, I think, 3 beforehand, so 3 stints of 2 months. So it was already 6 months down the line. And basically, when we arrived in this community, I, addressed our workshops and the kind of initiation of everything exactly the same as I've done before. And I've worked, as you said previously, I've worked for about 20 years with children. And I do believe that's kind of, again, it's like, well, this is cool. Like my purpose, I really believe, is something to be around children, young people, to be around animals. I've always known that that is what I'm supposed to do, you know, with my life. I had that. I don't know where it came from, but it's just always been there. And yeah, maybe also I was maybe a little bit not egotistical, but like overconfident with that. So, you know, like, okay, like I'd had a good run of you know, of impact and of these changes that I'd witnessed. So yeah, I was really boosted and really settled in the kind of routine, I suppose, the routine of methodology that I created and I practiced over and over. And this was, you know, down the line. So it was like, okay, cool, do exactly the same. And then when I arrived in this community, it was so totally different. The children, namely the girls, they were so terrified of me, like absolutely terrified of me, would run away, almost, some of them crying. And I was really, really shocked by this, and, you know, played some games like I usually do. And through the first weeks of our workshops, of course, the girls were very curious to see what's going on, but very hesitant to get involved. And slowly but surely, they started getting a little bit more curious and coming closer. But as soon as I would start even just interacting with them or encouraging them, they would run away in fear. And I was obviously seeing that obviously I'm at this place. I was the only white woman, so there was probably the layers of maybe some superstition. Perhaps there's some bad experiences with tourists or somebody that had been there. I don't know. I would never know. But the boys were so different. Like the boys there, particular boys, were so like dependable, reliable. And I would get there, like we would start at 8, but I would get there maybe at like 7:30, 7:45. And already by the second week, the boys were, you know, showing so much initiative. Like they had, they knew, because I always do the same practice every day, like in the morning as a warm up, blah, 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 at a circle game. And the boys were, particular boys were getting them all prepared. And I would be walking there and I could hear them singing the English songs. Honestly, it was amazing. But then I'd arrive and then the girls were just terrified. And I had sleepless nights and crying. And seriously, I just was, why is this happening? And it was not getting better. It didn't get better for weeks. And I tried different strategies. Okay, maybe I'm coming on too hard, or maybe, you know, I need to do it a little more subtler. And we get to the stage of this community mapping that I explained earlier. And you do need to have certain characters to be leaders, you know, like you need to have the groups, but you need to have some ones that are maybe older but are going to lead. But I would say at the end we had 90 children. 90, we started with like 40 and then it got to 90, and of those 90 I think we had 17 girls, something like that, 17 girls. So all the others were boys. But at this stage the community mapping was maybe 50 children. I'm not sure of the ratio, but I didn't know any of the girls. I couldn't choose one, but I knew how important it was to be you know, having a role model. I couldn't be it, so I was really trying hard, and I didn't want to force them. But it was one particular girl, it was maybe 16, 17, who would come often just watching. She didn't want to get involved, she just wanted to watch. And obviously, yes, I mean, different societies have different dynamics, different you know, like not approaches, but yeah. In Angola, it's quite a strong male dominant society, and women do have a role that, you know, in my society it's not in comparison, it's not balanced. And anyway, Julia was her name, and I was really wanting Julia to be one of the leaders. I think she came on the day that I really, really needed her, so I was so happy that she came. Maybe didn't stay the whole time, but at least we had a female that was, you know, part of the groups. But then I told you there was these dependable boys, and they were amazing. They were so great, and I just really, really wanted it to be equal. You know, I really wanted to have the girls there. I wanted to help, and I wanted their voice. And so anyway, that was so challenging. The hardest thing, it hurts so much, and I really was just running out of ideas and asking anyone that I knew who could maybe help me or give a suggestion. And then we got to the week of the performance, which is usually week 6 or week 8, depending on how things are gone. I think it was about week 8 this time. And we did the performance and it was lovely. I mean, we just do the scenes like I explained, you know, like about the people, about the animals and about the environment. And then we kind of have a sing-song at the end. And it was lovely. It was so amazing that day. And I really was so proud of them and just their ideas. The name of the play was Chega de Moscas, Vamos Limpar. So enough of the flies, let's clean. You know, they came up with it themselves. And yes, the girls, obviously, these small group of girls all participated. But at the end of this whole stint, this whole project, we were all saying goodbye. And then all of those girls came in, embraced me in this, the longest hug in my life. It was about 2 hours of hug where we were just embracing and we have some fabulous photos, which I'm just such a touching memory of mine. I don't know what it was. I still to this day don't know what I did something right, or at least maybe it was just by the end they'd realized, you know, the pure intentions behind everything. I don't know what it was, but they were holding every part of my body and we walked along the beach back to the village in this hug. You know, it was so, I was just tears rolling down my face and they were all crying too because they didn't want to say goodbye. And we stayed for another week or so later and we just continued just having fun and not going towards it and evaluating, you know, hearing their testimonials. Anyway, this was the biggest challenge as a woman, as a, you know, with the intention to do good, you know, with purpose, but that I struggled really, really badly with. And I think my lesson through that, if I could help anyone, whoever was to be faced with that, is just the perseverance. Perseverance, don't get bogged down, don't give up. Like the reward in the end will be so overwhelming. Just, yeah. I don't know what it was that was the secret or what made the change, but I think perseverance was just keep going and just give them the love that you can give them, you know, because they deserve it. Yeah. So anyway,
amazing.
I'm emotional. I always feel really like when I talk about this because it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I mean that also takes me to another question, which is, I mean, you've traveled to so many countries around the world, and I think it was like 4 continents that you've lived in and worked in, and like you said, like these cultural differences, let's say, that you face, how has that helped you, you know, the fact that you've lived all these different cultures, how has it helped you become a better person and impact that's trying to drive change while respecting their culture, right? You're not coming in trying to change it, but respecting it and transcending it, maybe.
Yeah, I know how lucky and privileged I am to have had that life. That's always been a huge element of what I, you know, who I am as a person. And I met my husband also on the road, you know, and we both had the same dream to you know, to just explore and I really just wanted to teach as well. I just really wanted to teach. I wanted to work with children, but I wanted to have that diversity of my experience. I mean, one of my first jobs was a job working for this like an after school club whilst I was at university. I was doing extra jobs and this place, there was like 13 different languages, which meant obviously 13 different cultures, I would say. And I was just turned 18, and I really was just in love with the fact of that diversity. I really was so enthused to get to know and understand, you know, the dynamics of how they approach different things, how we communicated, and really believed that play as playing does not need language at all. Like, and I think that fed into what Vanderful Seeds of Hope ended up being, because during university I also implemented projects that were also very similarly linked to play and diversity, particularly in a few places in Africa. And I think the skill it gave me is my communication skills. I'm really truly a believer that language is just a layer. Body language is also another layer. But that empathy and understanding and compassion that I gathered from understanding all these differences and these changes and these backgrounds, to consider, I don't know if is it diversity is the word? I don't know, like just the amalgamation of culture, backgrounds, gender, ability, not even, you know, special needs, you know, like all of those things in this kind of, you know, as we are as the earth, you know, a big melting pot of everybody. I think that really just yeah, taught me to be an able, an empathetic communicator, I think. Yeah. Is that answer the question? I'm not sure if that was a question.
Definitely. No, it's actually very funny with a lot of people that I'm interviewing that are in impact. Communication is one of the top things that they talk about, because it's change. You need the people, right, in order to drive the change. And if you understand and can communicate and empathize, like you said, and be compassionate with the challenges that that change can bring, but also the realities of maybe the obstacles that that change faces, then you can literally find the right solution, and be that support system for them while the change needs to happen. So yeah, it makes complete sense. Wonderful. No, and I ask myself this often, but I wonder what your answer is that if you could go back to your younger self, maybe at the beginning, yeah, what would be the advice that you would give yourself? And maybe, is there anything that you would do differently?
I'm not sure. I'm a believer that things, in that cliche, things do happen for a reason, even if they're the most hardest thing ever and a biggest struggle and difficult and traumatizing. I do, through my own experiences, personal experiences and professional experiences, I do still believe that that really is the case. So I wouldn't change, because I don't think I would be who I am or where I am today without the things that happened. I think I would tell myself that I'm stronger than I believe I am. Certainly with this experience I just explained about with the girls, I think I would like to go back to that younger version of myself and just say, like, it will be worth it in the end. You can do this, because there were moments where I was just like, maybe I'm just in the wrong place. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And also, like, I have always had that kind of paranoia, I suppose. I never wanted to be interpreted as that, sorry to say, but the white savior thing. I really was conscious of that right from the get-go. And yes, I've worked all around the world, and I've been very lucky to work in so many different places, very remote places, with different people from different cultures, backgrounds, ethnicities, whatever it is. And I have never wanted to be perceived as someone who's coming along and just, dictating and making change because I believe, or the way I was taught is better, like that kind of thing. I never wanted that. So I think when times have been really hard, I have thought maybe I am just doing that, and it's part of what is driving me, and I'm a charlatan, like I have got to those moments where I'm like, well, maybe I am just doing that. And I think when I reflect and when I look back, I think actually that is not the case. That's not the case. I think, yeah, I would tell myself that you're stronger than you think you are, and just keep going. That's not that. Yeah. And if I could add also, which happened probably about six years ago now, no, maybe 5 years ago, in Namibia, I had a colleague that clearly she didn't like me very much, and clearly, she didn't really want me around, and we clashed quite a lot, and I think I made her feel very uncomfortable for whatever reason, and there was a lot of conflict between her and I really truly believe I'm a peacemaker. I really hate confrontation. So I was always trying to, not sucking up to her, but always kind of just like always wanting to make peace and not argue. But she was so determined to, I don't know, go against everything I had to say, or whatever I was trying to implement. She would just want to disagree with it. At least that was my interpretation. But one significant time, which I won't go into, but I had done something. I created a policy. I was pitching it to the kind of like senior members of staff at the school, and this really upset this particular woman, like really did. And she shouted at me, and she said, "I just want to be involved. You just have to involve me." And even though she was this person that was like triggering me, and like, I really didn't. She didn't like me, so I didn't like her, and that's always stuck in my mind. Since she said those things to me, I have always remembered her saying that, even her face. And still, we don't know each other, we're not in touch, luckily. But she was my biggest teacher. And since then, I think that's what I would tell my younger self. I think that's probably a mistake that I probably haven't done. Whether I needed to involve her or not, that's not the question. It was just more, if I had involved her, maybe she might not have been so mean to me. I don't know. So I think I would tell myself, younger self, that like, just involve everybody, involve everyone. And everything I've done ever since that moment, I have always kept that. I've always kept, I'm not going to say her name, but I've always kept her in mind, like involve, and just checking myself. Am I involving everyone? You know, have I involved everybody? Have I heard their opinion? Have I, you know, and all we implement now with our projects is first is a needs assessment. We go in and we see, what do you want? What do you need? What do you feel? And then with those ideas, with those things, then we move forward and an action plan. Which I just found out recently. I'm doing a course on design thinking, and apparently that's exactly what design thinking is.
Exactly, it starts with empathy.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, oh, I'm doing this course, and this is exactly what I've been doing. But that lady taught me that.
Amazing. It sounds like throughout the underlining teaching through all your experiences is that human behavior is driven by needs being met or not being met. And often when the behavior is something that is, let's say, can be interpreted as violent, it's not because the person is a horrible person, but there's a need not being met. And so that communication skill, that active listening and seeing what are they saying, but what are they not saying as well, it's so important, right? In order to be able to meet their needs so that we can meet each other's needs, so that we can have a win-win and a bigger win, which is actually the change that we want to both drive. So yeah,
you're so good at synthesizing things. I take so long to say stuff and like la 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 la, and you're like, here, this is exactly what
you're giving me the stories. You know, you're inspiring me.
You inspire me too. I wish I had more of that though. I really wish that I could synthesize. I'm not very good at that.
Also, I wish I had the storytelling skill. So at the end of the day, that's why we all come together to what is it called? Complement each other. That's the beauty. Well, listen, Vikki, I as always, we can sit for hours together chatting away because it's so wonderful. There's so many stories and so many insights that we unveil through our sharings. But the one final thing I'm really, I think would be interesting to share is what's next. Like, with all this experience behind you, with the good and the bad and the challenges and the amazing opportunities, where do you see it next, or where do you want to take it next?
Well, like you said in the lovely introduction, was one of my aspirations is to create an actual curriculum. I kind of did already with the expressive arts, but now my next kind of dream or aspiration would be to create something that would be an environmentally conscious, sustainable, educational program or curriculum. I'm not sure which right word it is, that could be implemented in the future. I really would love to give time to that. But yeah, my life has had a lot of changes in recently, and we were initially wanting, well, 100% wanting to return to Africa, and then obviously, like the whole world, was turned upside down only 3 years ago now already, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, everything changed, and then we had to take stock and kind of reevaluate and see where our approach could be, not condensed, but to take a different angle. And yeah, so to return to Africa was the main aim. But through some trials and some tribulations, we are back in Africa now, and I'm very, very lucky that an amazing opportunity has come my way. And very soon, not quite this moment, because a lot of bureaucracy has to be done now, so I have to do lots of work permit applications and stuff. But yeah, where I see, or at least I know where I'm headed next, is going to be working for an amazing foundation here in Angola. And this place is like an oasis. It's very remote. It's going to be probably, again, the biggest challenge of my life. But with that challenge, it's going to be the most rewarding. And I'm very excited about it. I maybe we'll have to have an interview in the future to talk about it more, because obviously it's... But beginning of next year, I will start working. Also, our organization will continue. Seeds of Hope is going to be a partner of another organization that I am going to be working for. And yes, what they do already and what we do, I think is the perfect partnership. In fact, I got this new job, this new role, because of Seeds of Hope. So yeah, it brought me, this full circle. I was here 4 years ago, having some big challenges, but some big rewards. And then I've come back, and then now a new one has come, and it feels so right and so exciting. And yeah, that's the next step. And yeah, driving more impact, and this organization and the people that work this organization are just, I feel like it's the team that I feel like it's the team that I was supposed to come to, you know, and I'm very excited about it. I'm a little nervous. I am a little nervous because there's a lot of things that I obviously need to push myself and make some compromises, but I'm happy to do that, because I think it's going to be so rewarding, and I'm going to be doing field work, but also some other things that are really going to fundamentally be supported by this amazing organization that's going to help launch a lot of dreams and implementation of workshops. And yeah, just it's a phenomenal, it doesn't feel really right yet. It will in January. So
well, I think I'm excited to follow your journey, and I think we should set a date for January to reconvene and see where you're at, and the amazing, beautiful work that you're going to do, not only by yourself, but with an amazing support system. So that's really exciting.
Yes, I would be very happy to do it again there. And yeah, maybe I can show you around as well, because this place is super, super remote, but they have internet. I was there 4 years ago, and it was only a satellite phone, and only a satellite phone that could be used in a certain part of one of the kind of fields. Now they have internet, and there's a computer suite, and adults and children are getting taught how to write emails and connect with the world. Honestly, it's, I can't say too much yet.
Don't say. Keep it for us.
I'll show it to you.
Amazing. I can't wait. Well, Vikki, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And it's been so inspiring as always. And I can't wait to just follow everything that you're going to be doing in the future.
Thank you, Mary-Lena, for this opportunity. I'm really, really, really grateful to you, and so inspired by you too, because of what you're initiating here. And I think that we need more people in the world like you. And I'm so happy and so privileged to be your friend. So thank you very much for everything as well. You're amazing.
So much. Thank you so much. See you next time.